and welcome to the Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards in the back of a car, and me, Gary Lineker. How are you doing, chaps? I haven't seen you this weekend. Well, I saw Micah on TV, and Alan, you're doing Match of the Day 2 tonight. It's not been the best weekend of football.
Been a shit weekend of football. Newcastle got stuffed. They got battered off Aston Villa and thoroughly deserved because Villa were brilliant and Newcastle were rubbish. So, yeah, I know it's not. I don't know. I mean, I know Liverpool have won, but they weren't at their best. Created lots of chances. It hasn't been. I don't think it's been a great weekend. Do you?
How annoying is it that there's no football, no live though? Again, obviously, I had to watch Match of the Day yesterday. Dion and Martin, some really good analysis. But come on, we want to see the games. We got nothing to see. It's just the Villa and Newcastle game, wasn't it, on yesterday?
Well, I watched the games at 3:00, Micah, and trust me, you didn't miss too much.
Correct. Exactly.
Let's start. Well, I don't know whether it's bad news or not. Leicester have been relegated. It was inevitable. It's been coming for some time, but I don't know. I was looking at them today and I was thinking there's enough players in there that can actually probably come straight back up, do really well in the Championship, and we win a few games and we'll actually, watching matches, you'll have some sort of hope. Whereas, this year, particularly since the turn of the year, 9 games at home without scoring a goal and losing every single one of them.
Yeah, even today, I thought you did all right today.
Up until
the final third, I thought, and then just thought you were weak in those positions. What do you think they'll do, guys? What do you think they'll stick with him? Do you think he'll want to leave or what?
I've honestly no idea. I worry about how the club's being run at the moment, as do all Leicester fans. So, I don't know, Alan. I really don't know. I don't know how long his contract that he signed was. I don't know whether they talked about relegation. Who knows? I guess we'll find out over the next few weeks. I didn't think there was any point really sacking him with a few games to go. Give him a chance. Whether anyone else would have made it better, I don't know. Steve Cooper was actually doing not too badly. They're outside the relegation zone, at least, when they, as we all thought at the time, prematurely fired him.
How do you feel though, Gaz? How do you feel? You've had the roller coaster and the emotion of winning the league, and that you've said many times. You brought a tear to your eye, and then you win the FA Cup. Was in 2021, I believe, and then doing all of that and then getting relegated. And I know you say, well, yeah, you win some games and all that, but it's been some journey for Leicester, eh?
It's been a mad decade, a really mad decade. But if you'd have told me 10 years ago or 12 years ago that Leicester City will win the Premier League and win the FA Cup and then get relegated twice, A, I'd have said, are you completely out of your mind? and B, I would have snapped your hand off, because those memories that we've had. Basically what we've done, we've gone back to being Leicester City. Leicester's always been a kind of yo-yo team, down one season, up the next. That's pretty much our history. I think we've spent most of it in the top flight. But I'm sure hopefully we'll bounce back. I'd like to see the club come together at the top and have a little bit more confidence that way. But I looked at the players on the pitch today, and if they can keep, which I'm sure they probably will, keep the vast majority of them, they'll be very competitive in the Championship. And I think, Micah, as well, to be perfectly honest, this has been coming for weeks and weeks, and it's been inevitable. So it's not like you've suddenly lost on. I remember 2 years ago when it all happened on the last day of the season. That was really horribly distressing. But there's been a degree of certainty about this for quite some considerable time. So it got, even watching the game today, there was no real. Obviously, there wasn't any joy, but even though they played well, which was mildly encouraging, it didn't feel like I was watching my team play, because you just know what's going to happen.
There were plenty of empty seats in the stadium as well, wasn't there, guys? Because of the protests against the owners before the game as well. So I think they without doubt, they need to sort that out going forward before anything, don't they?
One thing I will say, though, the fans, before you answer that, guy, the fans were brilliant today, at the ground, and obviously, they're really frustrated, like Alan's just mentioned, but they clapped the team off at the end, and you've seen fans turn on players. And yeah, there would have been a few jeers, a few boos. and we get that. But in the main, the fans were really good today.
Yeah, I don't think they've got an issue particularly with the players. I don't think they've got an issue particularly with whoever's the coach. You know, most of the target has been the director of football, John Rudkin, who's, you know, he was there again, as he always is, man-to-man marking the owner. And I think that's where most people's grumbles lie. And again, I go back to the point that I think the players, you know, they were trying. I don't think there's a lack of effort there. I think they've just not been good enough this season. It's as simple as that. So, but again, it's the last 2 seasons now. That's the 3 clubs that came up from the Championship went straight back down. Then we've seen even this season, haven't we, that Sheffield United and Burnley, who were relegated, and Leeds were relegated the season before, are right at the very top. So, you know, I think if they go well in the Championship, it will be. Well, we're used to it. We're accustomed to it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, they can keep the majority of the team and we'll have something to cheer next season.
I was just about to say we might see a happy Gaz on Match of the Day, but we're not going to see him on Match of the Day at all next season. So
that's a good point.
You really got there. That is cruel. You know that. Very, very cruel.
It's not cruel at all. It's a fact. It's a fact. I'm perfectly happy with it. Liverpool, however, the last few weeks, they've kind of ground out results, haven't they? Get themselves over the line. And I suppose the headline will be Trent Alexander-Arnold scoring the goal, which was almost written in the stars, and the way he celebrated like he's never celebrated before going towards the fans. I suspect there's a lot of emotion in that celebration, not just for the significance of the goal, because it takes them very, very close to the title. If Arsenal don't beat Palace on Wednesday, it'll be theirs. And if Arsenal do win, it's at the Emirates, isn't it? So they should do. And if not, then they can do it by beating Tottenham next weekend. So it's very close. But yeah, Trent, I think it was good for him to go towards the fans, and I like the fact that they, celebrated with him.
Yeah, well, obviously he was at the game, and you could see the raw emotion. Liverpool fans didn't stop singing all game, and it's been very difficult for him when you're constantly being asked about your contract. And what happens then? People start identifying the weaknesses in your game. Oh, we can do without Trent, or this. But actually, when you look at it, what he's done for Liverpool, even coming through the youth and then coming into the team, when you look at fullbacks and the way he's developed the game, is been truly sensational. His technical ability is just off the scale. His passing range is ridiculous. The way he's shaped up for his goal on his left foot, the technique to do that was just remarkable. Everything about his game is just fantastic. Yes, going forward. Defensively, we know that he can't. He's not the greatest defender. That's not what he's known for. But I feel like that's all has been highlighted since the contract negotiations have been going on. And it was just a big moment for him. I think he needed it. I agree with you guys as well. I think the fans needed it as well. And it was just a great moment to be there, having seen him score that goal and celebrate in that way,
No, I think, I would echo all of that. I think it's great for him. That, and did you know that's his first ever goal with his left foot?
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Weird,
incredible, because he's actually got a really, really good left foot as well.
Well, you see the technique that he had there. Micah's right. The way he got the connection with it. I mean, it was a brilliant goal, brilliant volley. So, I mean, I was delighted for him that he could score at that end. The importance of it, the winning goal with him coming on as a sub and him just going mad. And it was great to see. I thought he without doubt deserves that. Obviously it sounds as if he's going to go, but I mean, amazing for him.
I hope they give him a really good send-off. I mean, I've often voiced my appreciation of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he's a wonderful talent. He's one of the best passes of the ball I've ever seen. I love watching him play. He's given me a lot of pleasure, and Liverpool fans and football fans a lot of pleasure watching him in the Premier League for years. And I'm sure if he goes to Real Madrid, he'll do the same for the football fans in Spain. And what an opportunity for him to play for, arguably the biggest club in the world.
He'll get that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I've got a few Liverpool fans, and every single one of them, bar none, have all said, obviously we would love him to stay. But if he doesn't and he chooses to go elsewhere, they'll be the first to shake his hand and say, well done and thank you and good luck in whatever you could do going forward. And I think that's the vast majority. I think the criticism may be coming from social media, and as we know, at times that's not a good place to judge. So I think the vast majority of fans Liverpool will say thank you very much, good luck and thank you.
I totally agree, and every Liverpool fan I've spoken to said exactly the same thing.
I think in the wider context, so it was nice to see Conor Bradley as well, to see what he could bring to this team potentially going forward. Do they need to sign a right back? Will he be, second in demand? But I think he's got something special as well in a different way. I think
totally
he's
different player.
More aggressive defensively, but still makes them really intelligent runs, more inside than outside. I like the link up with him and Salah today as well. And I think he's got a real chance. And I think the question mark is whether he's going to be the number one. I think he's got all the attributes to do that, but that is the one question mark that the Liverpool fans will be asking.
Yeah, it's a tough act to follow, but I think it probably helps him that he's a totally different style of fullback than Trent. So he's not got the passing range, but he's got great energy, gets up and down, gets crosses in, his runs are really good. So I suppose for Liverpool, it's whether they'll look at probably a right back anyway as backup, because he would have been the backup to Trent before, possibly. I don't know, but it's certainly, I think we're going to see Liverpool celebrating a title win, and I think they'll enjoy this one more than the last one because, of course, they couldn't do it in front of their fans because it was during COVID.
And they deserve it because they've been the best team in the Premier League by an absolute mile, and no one has been able to keep up with them. And they've found a way better than anyone else has, and they've dominated the Premier League, really. And, good luck to them. Well done.
You know what's scary? What's scary, Al, just before we move on, is I still believe they've got another year to go. They're going to get some transfers. They miss a lot of chances. If you have someone as clinical as maybe, not Salah, but maybe a level below, I think they're going to be a real threat next season again.
Yeah, and they'll without doubt try and get a big centre forward in as well, because I think by the sounds of it, Nunez will move on, so that means they'll need another forward.
Yeah, most certainly. As will Arsenal, of course, who won pretty comfortably today, helped obviously by sending off, although it was 2-0 at the time anyway. And Ipswich will, I'm sure, soon join Leicester in the Championship next season. But having said that, Arsenal, it was nice and easy for them, meant they could take a few players off as well for the huge Champions League game that's coming up in about 10 days' time. Yeah,
they went pretty strong though, didn't they? I think I was slightly surprised at how strong they went. I thought he might have changed it up a bit more than he did, but once he got those couple of goals and once they made it very easy for themselves. Ipswich again were terrible defensively, but I thought Arsenal did a really good job there in professional performance and should set them up nicely, yeah.
Do you think it was a red card, Micah? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think
he meant to do it. I think he's a bit unlucky.
He was a bit unlucky. He tried to nick the ball, but in the end, it ended up being dangerous, didn't it? So, I think, it was a right decision. Agreed. But, you know what, I want to talk a little word on Moreno. I think he's been really, you think about it, he's played in a false nine. He played a little bit deeper today, and he just has an effect on the game with his runs, with his passing. He's very cute. He understands the game very well. I think when you've got the likes of Saka, Martinelli in the form that they're in as well, it helps. Trossard played a big role, and after beating Real Madrid on 2 legs, you can just see the confidence oozing out of them now. And I think you look at this Arsenal side, and previously, I know in the league, they could have done a little bit better in terms of a lot of draws in there for Arsenal, but the squad now is starting to look really good. The confidence of the young players coming through. Ben White, who's coming to the side where you look at it with Timber playing so well, it's going to be difficult for him to play right back. Obviously, Louis Skelly playing left back, who's done terrifically well too. Zinchenko comes into the side, so you look at it now and you think Arsenal are looking very, very strong. It's just they need to keep the momentum going now till the end of the season.
That's why he'll probably play Moreno in the first leg against Paris Saint-Germain, because obviously Partey is suspended, isn't he? So I guess that's where he'll play him, and Trossard will be up top.
Could well be, couldn't it? I would imagine so. Yes. Let's take a little break, then we'll discuss some of the other games played this weekend. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with, alas, only Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker, because we've lost Micah's signal in the back of the car. But as we're now going to discuss perhaps the games that he hasn't seen, as he was working on the other two today that we discussed in the first half, it was perhaps meant to be. But
not for the first time he's gone missing. In life, I mean, not just on the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have had the pleasure of watching the Wolves-Manchester United game, Alan, because you're doing Match of the Day 2 tonight. Yeah. The rest of us, ordinary souls, weren't able to see it. 1-0. Good, apparently really good free kick, wasn't it, from Sarabia?
Sarabia, yeah, really good free kick. Yeah, that was their first effort on target for Wolves. You didn't miss much, to be honest. I mean, he changed it around a bit, Amran, brought in some youngsters. Yeah, I mean, Man United were awful in forward positions. They got into some decent positions, but they just couldn't score the goals. But their league season has just been a complete and utter write-off, a disaster. I mean, they could end up finishing 17th if they don't buck up, which would be very, very... Well, it is embarrassing anyway, because their season is just about the Europa League, isn't it? Winning that. And if they don't win that, then wow.
Well, I mean, they were so close to going out. It was extraordinary, that game, wasn't it?
Unbelievable game, yeah, wasn't it? But yeah, they're in it. They're in the semi-final, and they have to win that trophy this year to get into Champions League. Having said that, so do Spurs.
That's right. They've got a tough semi-final, though, I think. Man United.
The toughest one,
Bilbao had a good season, going really well, both in Europe and in La Liga. I think they're in fourth place. They play Real Madrid tonight, actually. We're recording this, obviously, on Sunday evening, which it's a big game.
What about the job he's doing, by the way, at Wolves, Pereira?
Incredible, isn't it? 5 wins on the bounce.
I think I'm right in saying when he took over in December, they were 13 points behind Manchester United. They're now level on points with Manchester United. Incredible, the job he's done and doing. Brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. What do you think he's done to change things? Or is it just get a run going, get a bit of confidence? I mean, they've got good players in there, haven't they?
They've got. We have always said, haven't we, all season, even when they were in and around the bottom three, we always felt that they had enough quality to get out there, and they were too good to be down there. So he's brought a bit of belief, he's brought confidence, and the feel-good factor in and around the club sort of helps as well in the stands. They're not playing in front of a nervy, edgy crowd. They've got the belief going away, even when they... I didn't think it was... I thought that today, when I looked at the fixtures, that was the one standout where I thought, I can actually see a nap and away win for Wolves there.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I think the big change he's done really is probably defensively. They're much more difficult to score against now. They had massive problems earlier in the season. I know they did start against most of the big teams, so they're off to a tough start. But I think he's made them much more difficult to score against. I think that's fundamentally
doing a great job.
Chief difference of that. Villa Newcastle, Alan. You told me when if you win the Carabao Cup, you wouldn't care about any of the games left for the rest of the season. I know that's already not the case.
Look, I'm laughing. At least I'm smiling.
You are smiling,
yeah. More relaxed when Newcastle get beaten. It hasn't happened for a while, but Villa were brilliant. Villa did to Newcastle what Newcastle have done to a few teams over the past couple of months. They just overpowered them. They had more energy. The subs made a massive difference. And again, you go back to recruitment. Villa played on Tuesday in the Champions League. Newcastle played on the Wednesday against Palace in the league. But Villa had far more energy. They won every challenge, and they were better in every position really. And Villa battered Newcastle. Actually, should have been a few more. They were absolutely outstanding. Aston Villa were. Yeah,
particularly down the left-hand side.
Yeah, absolutely. They deserved it. There's no. I think it was one of those days where Newcastle went in again with the same team. You got a dilemma, haven't you? Is that if you change the winning team and you get beaten, everyone says, why the hell are you changing the team? If you don't change it, then people say, oh, well, you need to freshen it up. But I just think the quicker Newcastle forget about that and move on. And what I would say is, if you've been battered like you have been, then you would want a home game, your next game against one of the teams that have had a terrible season in terms of Ipswich. So they've got a really good home game to look forward to, and hopefully they'll bounce back, because that battle at the top for Champions League places is incredible.
I thought Villa's bounced back after, despite obviously they put in a brilliant performance against PSG and won the actual game, albeit lost it overall. I thought to bounce back with that energy and performance spoke volumes for the players and the coach as well. The interesting thing was Ollie Watkins started, got his goal early on, slightly fortuitous deflection, obviously, but he was terrific. After the game, I don't know whether you saw he was interviewed, and he actually, really refreshing honesty. He said, "No, I was fuming that I was left out," and I can understand that when he's done so much for them, and then to miss out and not start in the two big games and the two legs of the quarterfinals of the Champions League. He's got a point.
Yeah, he's got a point, but then when you finish football, you also look at it from the other side of things, from the manager's side of things. Mm-hmm. The reason they got to the quarterfinal of the Champions League, one of the reasons why they're in the semi-final of the FA Cup, and one of the reasons why they're in a really good position to challenge for top 5 again, is because of their recruitment, because of how many good forward players he's brought in January. And we've been through them. He brought in Rashford, he brought in Marlon, he brought in Asensio. And when you put that on top of what they've already got, Rodgers and Watkins and Ramsey, maybe missed one or two out. So that's the difference from a manager's point of view. He's been able to chop and change. And a big reason why they were so good against Newcastle is that the subs that were able to bring on after an hour, the subs they brought on made a massive difference to that game. And they just brought an energy and a skill that they might not have been able to do last year. Well, they wouldn't have.
I have to say, I love watching Emery on the touchlines. I mean, obviously he's brilliant tactically, and he really knows his stuff. But his energy on the side. I mean, he lives and breathes every moment. Doesn't he?
He's incredible. I mean, you're knackered watching him, aren't you? But he's a brilliant manager, tactically absolutely superb. And I'm told he just lives and breathes football from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep. So and you can tell that the way he's got his team drilled, and Villa are having a brilliant season.
They really are. And they're very impressive in midfield as well. And I know we've talked about Rodgers a lot. We've talked about McGinn, but a former Leicester man, I think, has had an absolutely excellent season. Youri Tielemans. I mean, his passing range has always been, right at the highest level. And it's great to see him doing well, because he'll be an eternal hero at Leicester for that goal that he scored in the FA Cup final. Yeah,
they're a really good, solid midfielder. And he brought an honour on, didn't he? And even he scored a great goal. But you're right about Tielemans. He's having a superb season, there's no doubt. And going back to Ollie Watkins, what he does so much better than a lot of forwards in the Premier League is that because he makes life miserable for defenders, because he goes over the top. And as we know, defenders hate turning and running back towards their own goal, and he did that so well yesterday. And that he's brilliant at doing that, without a doubt.
And that helps the team, doesn't it? Because it creates more space, more space behind him.
Correct.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, this Champions League race now, especially now we've guaranteed 5 clubs, it's going to be tense, isn't it? There's 2 points between the 5 sides. I've got the league table in front of me here. I mean, Newcastle, you're still third at the moment on 59. Man City 58, Chelsea 57, Forest 57. They've now slipped out of the Champions League spots. Villa 57 as well. I mean, gee whiz. City obviously did what they had to do yesterday and won. They did well to win. Chelsea, you must have been a bit like, oh No, weren't you? I mean, obviously because of. I mean, they were a goal down with not long left, weren't they?
About 15.
I mean, you probably saw that game
I did.
because we don't get the telly matches.
I was watching it, and Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson were having a torrid afternoon. There was no way they were winning that game if Jackson hadn't come off. Took him off, brought a youngster on, 19-year-old, got his first Premier League goal, and then Neto's finish at the end. Wow, I mean, the touch and the swivel and everything else. So from being agony, really, with 15 minutes to go, then 15 or 20 minutes later, they win the game. And it's just like, I mean, if Forest win tonight, when this is going out on Monday, then they go back third, I think. Yep. So it's, I mean, it's so tight. I've looked at the fixtures.
Yeah, go on. Who do you think will miss out?
I think, looking at the fixtures, perhaps Chelsea have got the toughest because they've got to play Newcastle. They've got to play Forest on the last day of the
but that's also
season.
Could be advantageous because you're actually going against the teams that
and it's hard enough to predict results anyway. But for trying to predict them towards the end of the season when there's so many random results and you think, how on earth did that happen? So I don't know. I mean, Man City as well, without playing that well at Everton. I mean, that game was awful for.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Similar thing again for large periods. You're thinking no one's going to score here, but then Nico O'Reilly pops up and gets that goal, and then Kovacic gets a very similar to the one he got last week at Crystal Palace. So they won again. So it's like so tight. It's unbelievable.
At least it gives us something to look at for the remainder of the season because the title's done, the bottom three are done. Yeah. So it gives us something.
No, it's right. It's right. It's going to be so. It's going to be so exciting. I mean, I don't know. There's an argument that they have to do it. They have to do it. I mean, you look at Forest; they've been there for so long. It'd be such a shame if they didn't. Newcastle because of where they want to go. Villa the same because of the PSR where they want to go. They've had a taste of Champions League football again this season and been brilliant in it. Man City because. It would be a disaster if they didn't. And Chelsea, they were finished 6th last year. They have to improve. So there's an argument for every side. So it's going to be an amazing couple of weeks.
It really is. It gives us something to enjoy anyway for the rest of the season. Added to that, the European competitions as well, where there's plenty of English sides competing. But I know you've got to go and do some work, Alan. Get your analysis sorted for tonight. What's your main analysis?
What's first? I'm doing the Chelsea bit on Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer and how they're really poor, and then the change that they made, how that worked for them. I'm doing Arsenal, how down their right hand side, Ipswich's left hand side, how they really sort of got stuck into them, particularly in the first half, and Ipswich just couldn't cope with them. So they're my main two games. Well,
good stuff. Have a good show. That's all for today on The Rest is Football. A quick reminder before we go, though, about the new show that's part of The Rest is Football family, Daily Brightness. The Rest is Football with Rachel Daly and Millie Bright. Millie's been playing in Barcelona this evening in the Champions League semi-final. So do tune into their episode on Tuesday to get all the insight from that. But that's it for now. Have a great week, everyone. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Have a great week.